and welcome to tonight's edition of The Probe. Tonight, a dark shadow looms over Ghana's precious natural resources. Well, through powerful storytelling, vivid imagery, and insightful interviews, we'll bring you face to face with the stark reality of illegal mining in Ghana. From the vast destruction of pristine landscapes to the contamination of rivers and the displacement of local communities, this illicit practice has left an indelible mark on Ghana's environment and its people. Tonight, we uncover the hidden truths and shed light on the most pressing environmental issues in our dear country, Ghana. It is a known fact by now that illegal mining, known as Galamsey, has emerged as a formidable challenge, leaving a devastating impact on the land, people, and the ecosystem of this vibrant nation. Join us as we delve into the depth of this issue, aiming to unravel the intricate web of consequences that illegal mining has wrought upon Ghana. Is this a war we can win as a nation? Are we willing to even win this war in the first place, or we are simply paying lip service to it? Do we even understand the gravity of the situation as a country? Welcome to tonight's edition of The Probe, where we shine a light on Ghana's struggle against illegal mining. We are live on the Joy News channel, also on DSTV channel 421, Go TV is 125. We're on myjoyonline.com and all our social media platforms. We are on Joy 99.7 FM, that's on radio, and affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. I need you to participate fully tonight by sending your comments and questions through with the hashtag No to Galamsey. I am Emefa Apau, and this is The Probe. I'll introduce my guest to you shortly, then we get talking.
And look at what is happening now. If things had improved now, but things are worse. We have virtually no forest reserve in this country. You know, all the rivers are polluted, and people are doing that with impunity. You know, the rivers, you still see these floating platforms there with the dredging and so on. When we were there, you dare not do that. You know, we had boats that will cut all the floating platforms and all the equipment away. And we had a project for that. You know, we had just started the foundry and machine tool project in atomic energy. The idea was that we'll carry all this metal to that place, melt the metal, and upcycle the thing. And maybe with a foundry, create, let's say, if you are doing road construction, the drainage covers of drains and EVP and T things. These are all important things. These are things that we could have manufactured from the metal that we were carrying from the mine, the rivers. So there was a plan in place. And if people will not study it and demonize Prepon Boateng, demonize me. How many people have done for this country what I've done?
Let me ask you this, and I know you are frank. Let's talk about solutions.
Yes.
Do you believe the president is really committed to ending illegal mining?
Maybe committed, but choosing the wrong methods.
Okay.
I'm not saying, yeah, he says it. If he says he's committed, I cannot disprove it. But then if you look at the methods that are being, employed, people are doing whatever they like, then it's not likely that this illegal mining will stop.
So one method.
And I'm not expecting this thing to improve.
Why?
Because honestly, even in the best of times, when the economy was good, people were doing illegal mining. Okay? And there's somewhere in the Central region whose wealth is based on mining.
In a time of economic crisis?
No. Even the best of times. That is so. Economic crisis. Next year will be election year. People need money to campaign and so on. I don't expect that this thing will stop anytime soon. At least not until after there's a new government. I don't know the strategy that the new government will employ, but in the best of times, people dependent upon this for their livelihood and other things. And now we are in election year,
election season,
election season, people need money. And so, and the way the economy is, what are you going to do farming to get money, or what are you going to do?
Love News in 2022 captured Akunta Mining Limited and other illegal miners polluting the Tano River at Samraboy in the western region. We uncovered irresponsible mining polluting the Tano at various points in communities like Atala, Uhiampenika, and Datano sections of the river. A year after producing the Distraction for Gold documentary, we went back to Samraboy to gauge the situation on the ground. The miners have abandoned posts and left behind deep pits and gullies they created along the Tano River. Ofosua Sare Samuel is the assembly member for the Mumuni electoral area.
After your last documentary, those that they were in operation, they left the community or they left the site. They are no more here or destroying the land.
But our tour of the adjoining villages along the Tano revealed disturbing pictures of direct active mining in the Tano River with residues directed into the Tano. Shamfan operators and illegal miners currently sit on the river at various points. These Chinese miners were spotted at Boya, a farming community, driving the excavators and operating the mine themselves, contrary to mining regulations.
This is purely illegal. There is no buffer between the Tano River and what they are doing. And if you see in the distance, there is a washing bay sitting at the edge of the tunnel, washing directly into the river. This is purely criminal.
Close to the airstrip at Samraboy, these two Chinese nationals were found operating this mine, which seems to be violating the government's buffer zone policy for mining close to major water bodies like the Tano River. They told me the site belongs to Akunta Mining Limited.
You go stop me, Bojo. This side, Akunta people. Yeah.
Officials of Akunta Mining will not respond to the claims. The devastated Atala, Uhiampenika, and Datano lands fall into the concession of Unipower Mining Company Limited. But even before Unipower could complete its licensing processes to start mining, large parts of its concession have been invaded by illegal miners. David Thompson is Corporate Affairs Manager.
Whilst we acquired it over a period of time, illegal miners started to come onto the concession. We tried to engage them in a cordial manner to try and say, hey gentlemen, this is illegal mining. We didn't really get too far in that negotiation. Therefore, we informed the Mineral Commission. So we engaged the military to remove them. They were removed, and then subsequently they started to come back again.
David speaks of the dangers of mining in the River Tano, calling for urgent steps to control the practice.
Any activity on any of the rivers, straight away it's like, surely people, please, this is going nowhere for you. You're going to make a quick buck. How long is it going to last? But the decimation, the catastrophe that you're leaving behind is shocking. The poisons, the colours of the water, the local indigenous people who wash their clothes from that river, who are drinking and using to cook their food from that river. I mean, it's a travesty. And I really believe that should stop an awful lot of the illegal mining on the rivers immediately.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Atala, Uhiampenika, Samraboy, Western Region.
is the probe, and we are not getting tired of saying hashtag no to Galamsey. And my colleague Erastus Asari Donko, Love FM Joy News presenter, producer, reporter, joins us also via Zoom tonight to paint the broader picture to us about this catastrophic, disheartening, shocking details that he's found a year after this documentary, Destruction for Gold. Also joining us via Zoom, Awula Sewa. She's coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens Ghana, joining me via Zoom also tonight. Welcome. I also have Stanley Mates, the Director of Communications for the Ghana Water Company Limited. We're taking a look at the devastating impact on our water and the supplies and how long we can go on like this. And then also I'll be joined by the Wa Central MP and ranking member of the Lands and Natural Resources Select Committee in Parliament, Abdul Rashid Hassan Pelpo. Let's talk about the oversight and responsibility of Parliament and what they've been able to do against this war on Galamsey. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here on the probe. Let's test if our microphones are working. Good evening. Welcome.
Evening. Good evening.
Great. Good to have you here tonight on the probe. So it's only appropriate that we start with my colleague Erastus Asari Donko, because he's been out and about. I know that you all have a true picture of what is happening on the ground. But Erastus, it's shocking to find that after a year, Destruction for Gold, are you saying that there was no improvement when you went back to the places that you visited?
Well, if you're talking about specifically the places we visited last year, well, in those areas, the miners have left. They've left the deep pits and gullies still there, unclaimed. They are all around. But we are finding more of that devastation and pollution eating up forests, water bodies, and this new trend of using waterboarding equipment, i.e. champagne, on the various rivers. That's what we are seeing. And we are seeing it more, at least 4 times what we saw in 2022. And so currently, as we speak, I think the only place that people are fighting to save their forests and save their community, I would say, is Atrusu, which is close to Sehibekwai. That is the only place we've come across that the people are saying no. And then you have government appointees pushing down their throat what they call community mining, which of course is not community mining. This is the only resistance we've come across. Aside that, what you're seeing on your screen is almost everywhere. The Ankobra is highly polluted. You have champagne sitting on it as we speak. The Pra River is worse. If you go to Dabwase and you see the polluted water that the GWCL is pumping and treating and sending to your homes, it will shock you. Or you come to Asante region and you see the offering. And the most shocking part, which we are bringing on your screens from next week, is the decimation of our forest. And in fact, when I saw the Lands Ministry, the government machinery doing Green Ghana Day, I told myself, this is a joke of the century, I tell you. So you're planting how many trees? 1,000? And then you have illegal miners clearing over 400 trees within a week. If you look at the Pamprama Forest Reserve right now, you will weep. Thousands of miles. You can drive and drive and drive and drive. The devastation doesn't end. The whole forest is gone. And when we bring the footage, you see it. And what are we doing? We are doing Green Ghana Day. And we are destroying the forest at a fast rate. And we are planting trees where?
Well, but
it's a joke.
Erastus, let me find out, at least previously you saw the task force, amongst others, trying to do something of a sort in terms of stopping this. When you went back and the places that you visited, are we saying that the task force, the team, those who say they are fighting this particular war, Are they really doing it? Were they even on site? What exactly is the status?
So let me ask these questions to anybody who says that there's a task force which is fighting illegal mining. If you go to a big forest like Apamprama, and then you wait for people to clear thousands of hectares of forest before you send in military men to go and burn excavators, what have you done?
Okay.
Yes, when we went there last week, we saw that the day before, military men have come in there. Well, at least the current GOC is doing well. He sent a whole battalion of military men into the forest. They burned 10 excavators in the forest just last week. But if I show you the footage of how much they destroyed, then you ask yourself, so where was the Forestry Commission? Those that protect are supposed to protect the forest. And even if somebody is using a dormer machine to cut down one tree for carpentry purposes, that person will be found in the thick of the forest and will be dealt with.
Okay.
But we had more than 20 excavators in a forest like that, and the Forestry Commission watches on. And they decimate the forest before you send in military men to go and burn excavators.
Okay.
That's the kind of fight we're having.
Well, it has to stay with me at least. You've painted a picture, and we look forward to the second part of this particular documentary, Destruction for Gold, which we're going to be airing starting this week, like he's been saying. Awula, you've been, at least, you're the coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens Ghana. We've been with you throughout this fight, and listening to Erastus, I also heard Professor Primfo Boateng saying that he does not think that this war will be won, and for him, he says illegal mining will not stop, especially during the season that we are in. But watching the videos, the footages, the devastating impact that illegal mining is having on our environment, let me pick your initial thoughts briefly. Really, is this a war that we are really on? What really are we doing?
Because there's no war, there's no war going on. As Erasmus said, if you have a war going on, you would have the military there to stop the devastation. You wait till hectares have been destroyed and then you come in. But let me be absolutely clear. At this moment, we have the head of the Forestry Commission saying he has no objections to mining in forest reserve. This was to do with the Kano-Minimi Forest Reserve. It's like a firefighter saying that he has no objection to us. So you need somebody there who appreciates the nature of forest, why we have forests. But I would say that there's no fight going on. And what is worse, the government itself is hell-bent on mining, whether in Atiwa Forest Reserve, and therefore has passed there's now LI 2462 that has been passed, which makes it possible to mine in forest reserves, and worse still, in globally significant biodiversity areas. We have the classification of Achiwater Forest. Erasmus has spoken about Setriatronsu. We are also supporting them. They are resisting community mining, which is being pushed down their throat, but they are resisting. With all this going on, is there any fight against illegal mining? No, the government itself is complicit.
So for you, if we were to give a status report, what would it be?
It will be a lot of duplicity, a lot of fanfare, Green Ghana, Green Ghana. With one hand, we are jumping up and down, Green Ghana. The other thing we are doing is that we are making it easier to mine in forest reserves, to deplete the diminishing forests we have. And worse still, I've just seen a notice that we're looking at compulsory acquiring a vast tract of land to do mining. So I'm saying that there's no fight going on. Okay. The government itself is complicit.
In this,
and let me be clear, if there's a fight going on, the directors of Akonta Mining should be behind bars by now for the devastation they have caused. But they have not even been arrested, and rather we had Professor Primfo Boateng arrested and bailed. This doesn't make any sense.
But you heard the president mention that as we speak, there was no, facts behind the fact that Akonta Mining were mining illegally any forest reserve for that matter. But that's an issue that I'm sure as we go on, we'll get to talk about. But we've had the Ghana Water Company Limited, at least if we're not going to listen to anybody when it comes to the impact of illegal mining, we've had the Ghana Water Company Limited mention that it's been difficult pumping money into, processing and making water clean for us to drink in our homes. Thankfully, Mr. Stanley Mate is with us, the Director of Communications. Well, since the Ghana Water Company cried foul about illegal mining, are we saying that there's been no improvement? Has things changed from where you operate amongst others? Mr. Mate?
Yeah, I think when the war was rife, and we saw a reduction in the mining, in the alluvial mining, we saw some improvement in some areas. But then it's changed again. Mm-hmm. Just last week and last 2 weeks, we've been out with the Sector Minister, Honorable Cecilia Abnadapa, and we are seeing more serious devastation of our river bodies. And so it's difficult for us to say that there's something ongoing. At least the minister is doing well going around, and she's doing some education and some community engagement. But I think we need to do more to ensure that this war is won. But for now, it's a bit difficult to tell. As I speak, with the exception of the Volta River, every river that we obstruct for treatment is polluted one way or the other, especially with alluvial mining. And even with the Volta River, there's some form of pollution due to aquaculture. Okay. So we need to be very careful as a country, because the situation is such that every river is seeing some form of pollution, and it's making our work more difficult. And apart from making it more difficult, it's becoming more expensive to treat because the dollar is not stable now, and we have had to use a more expensive chemical. Initially, we were using alum in our population, but now the alum is now almost ineffective, and we are now using polymers, and the polymer is about 3-4 times the cost of alum. So you realize that it's becoming more expensive chemical, and then the dollar is also not stable because we import these chemicals into the system. So it's becoming more and more difficult for us, and more expensive for us to treat water for our people.
Okay.
Apart from that, we are seeing greater levels of our river bodies, especially in the dry season. Now we are in the rainy season, so we are seeing some high levels. But in the dry season, it's becoming typical. This year, for instance, we've seen a number of our rivers dry up, such that some areas were not able to abstract water in some areas for treatment for 2 to 3 months. Last year, we saw the same thing. It's an indication that climate change is setting on us, and we need to take all these things into consideration. And we need to take the fight against the pollution of our river bodies more seriously than we are doing now.
Well, Mr. Mate, be very frank with us at this point, because you mentioned that just recently you've been round again, and apart from the Volta River, even that there are some issues there. Really, how long can we go on like this? Because you've talked about, apart from it being expensive, you're having to use more chemicals to treat water for us to drink. At least most people drink directly from the taps, potable drinking water. As a nation, how long can we sustain this? As a company itself also, how long can you go on like this if nothing happens?
I think we are getting to the point where we will not stress ourselves to treat the water if it's rendered untreatable. If turbidity is beyond a certain level, we'll get to the point where we decide that we wouldn't waste our time any longer.
And where are we with our turbidity levels? Where are we now? Let's talk numbers. At the last count.
We are going beyond 10,000 NTU. I mean, averagely throughout the country, we are around 10,000 NTU, which is terrible. It's terrible.
And as a company, let's talk about the impact on your activities. At least you talked about expensive, and I was hoping you could tell us how many years more, how many days more, how many months more can we go on like this? When it gets to a level that you cannot treat anymore, you have to give us the water as it comes.
When I say it's getting more expensive, it's not even just about chemicals alone. Now, the quality of the water is also destroying our pumps. such that farms that have a lifespan over 30 years are now getting spoiled and unusable within a year or two. And these pumps are very expensive, customized pumps that are very, very expensive. So if every 2 years we have to change these very expensive pumps, then you can also imagine the enormity of the challenge. So it is not just about the water treatment alone, but equipment as well. Okay, now it also has some effect on our staff because we are using more dangerous chemicals now. They are breathing in these chemicals, and which has health implications for our staff. Okay, so all these things are challenges that are very serious, and we need to look at it. Now, as to timelines, now in the dry season, we are seeing most of our rivers dry up. So if 3 to 4 months out of the year we can't treat water for a lot of places, and it's to continue, then it's going to 6 months. How can we survive? I mean, how can a community survive without 6 months of water? Okay, now research is that if the rate or the frequency or the rate at which the pollution of our river bodies is going on now, if it's to continue at that same rate or even higher, by 2030, most of our river bodies will go extinct.
Okay.
And then we may not have water to treat at all. And only solution will be to import water to the system. And I think that would be very dire for our country. And so we need to be very serious in managing our water bodies. You know, climate change is also hitting on us. Now we even predict what next year holds for us. Whether we are going to have more rains or we are not going to have rains at all, we can't even tell. Now there are a lot of rains. Rains are coming in. But now, when is the rainy season going to end? And when it ends, how will the evaporation of our river bodies going to be? Is it going to be high or is it going to be low? Now, if the rate of evaporation is high, it also means that the water that we've had into the system now, onto our rivers now, will dry up within a very short time.
Okay. Well, let me bring in Mr. Rashid Pelpo, Abdul Rashid Hassan Pelpo. He's thankfully the ranking member on the Lands and Natural Resources Select Committee in Parliament. Mr. Pelpo, thank you so much for joining us here on the probe as well. Maybe you have some good news for us in terms of the briefing that you've received. At least from what we see on the ground, it's nothing to write home about. But from where you sit, you have the oversight. I think that to a large extent, many people feel that from where you sit, you are failing us as a nation in terms of undertaking your oversight responsibility. You've heard the Water Company Limited, but really, what kind of briefing are you getting when it comes to our fight against illegal mining in this country, first off? You have to unmute, Mr. Pelpo.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear now. Thank you.
Oh, you are talking to Rashid Pelpo?
Yes, please, I am.
Okay, please, what issue are you bringing?
So we're asking briefly about the kind of briefing that you are getting in Parliament when it comes to the status of the war on illegal mining in this country. From where you sit, you are happy with what you are getting?
Well, we are very devastated about what is happening. The continuous and intentional destruction of our lands and rivers, government's apparent involvement in everything that is happening, the inefficiency in the struggle against the destruction of our lands, and government apparently, seemingly, and maybe intentionally not doing anything about it. And worst of it all, being part and parcel of it, given the report we are getting from the Interministerial Committee on Mining, Illegal Mining. So we are worried about it. We feel that the land is being abused. Government is abusing its role as representing the will of the people. And given the opportunity to rule over this land and to take care of the lands, the forests, the people, the rivers, the waters, government ultimately has failed. And we are very much worried about what is happening. I mean, land is for everybody. And we hope that if government is doing well, you will have a lot of people supporting them to protect our lands, not just for this generation. This land had been given to us or had been restored to us from generations yet uncounted. And given this small period of 7 years of the MPP administration, so much has gone wrong, so much involvement in government activities in the destruction of the land, so much lack of consciousness and decision to tackle the issue with the desire that we want to see happen in government. And in Parliament, I can tell you, if nobody at all, the minority side is very worried about what is happening. And we just wish that some level of community consciousness should come into play to save the lands from what is happening.
Well, but most of us are of the view that it's not enough for a ranking member to just say that, yes, we are not happy about what is going on. You have oversight responsibilities also as a select committee. So that brings us to the point about what exactly that select committee is also doing when it comes to this particular fight. Is it a fight that you're also taking seriously as the others are?
We are taking it very seriously. We've had at least two press conferences from the Lands and Forestry Committee. We've had one or two from the Energy Committee on Energy. We have had meetings with the minister. We have shown our ultimate disrespect for the apparent show of commitment by government, by respect, by arresting the former minister. And we believe that we have shown enough commitment to the public and to government to let them know that we want change to happen in the manner in which they are handling the issue of protecting our lands and forests. And we have a number of issues that we are bringing up. In the next time we are going to have a meeting, with the minister. We hope that essentially the minister should make sure he influences, and we would work on it very, very, very seriously to make sure that we revoke the executive instrument by the president, the EC 144 Forest, and make sure we get the government out of the way in making sure we move it away from, we take up the executive instrument that allows mining in forest areas to be part and parcel of the destruction going on.
Okay.
And we also think that it's important for us to revoke Section 3(2) of the Environmental Protection or Mining Regulation, so that we don't allow a free flow of miners into areas that are not particularly excluded from the mining industry. And also because we don't have enough monitoring capacity. Our regime of monitoring is weak. And so we want to make sure we encourage government to limit and pause community mining, because it's becoming a source of destroying the environment in manners that are allowed also by government.
Okay.
So community mining, we think that it must be paused for a while so we can assess exactly what destruction is done and what we can do to ameliorate the situation. So essentially the minority is very much worried, and worried not just because we are worried on paper, we are also worried because we have demonstrated strongly that much more can be done to address the present situation we are facing.
Okay. Well, we've seen a minority worried in this country before, and I'm sure that I'll bring Aula in on this because we've got to a point where even members of parliament are calling for censure amongst others. But it doesn't look like when it comes to illegal mining, we are angry enough as a people and even for parliamentarians also, because we are told that some of you are even complicit in this. And we've heard Professor Frimpong Boateng mention that getting into an election year, he doesn't think that this is going to stop, but because most of you need money for that to happen, and most people get their monies from there. Aula, do you think that as a country we are angry enough when it comes to this particular issue, illegal mining? Are we?
I don't think we are angry enough, and yet we should be. There's environmental terrorism going on, and I'm pleased that the honourable member says that they will look at seeing to revoking EI 144. But I'm a bit disappointed that LI 2462, which allows mining in forest reserves, and even Section 3.2, which allows mining in globally significant biodiversity areas, was passed by Parliament in November 2022. I don't know where the minority was, but it was passed by Parliament. But let's be very clear that both sides of the political divide are complicit when it comes to this state of affairs. And Ghanaians need to be angry enough to perhaps hit the streets, because we are signing our death warrants. We'll become extinct if we continue this way. I don't know what else I can say. It's a dire situation. And it's just sad that a government that is supposed to be providing leadership is complicit in what is going on.
But do you get a sense that we even know what we are doing? Because you mentioned that this is actually not a war. But when you speak to those in charge, they tell you that we are in charge of it. We are fighting illegal mining. It's a fight that we can win. We will win this fight. Do you get a sense that we even know how to go about this, how to even tackle this particular war, if there is
if we were serious, we'd know what to do. The challenge is that we're not serious. Both sides are getting money from it for whatever they want to do. Why are the directors of Apunta Mining walking free? Because they fund the party. We are not serious. If we were serious, we can win this war. You can't tell me that the illegal miners are better equipped than our regular army. We will win this war when we become serious. And when the people who vote, let the people know that we're not going to vote for irresponsible persons who are going to destroy the beautiful environment that God has given us and asked us to take care of. When we begin to be angry enough, I think the leadership will begin a serious fight. At this stage, I'm sorry, I can't see that there's any fight going on. Even we are fighting shadows.
Erastus, the issue about collaboration, at least we have a media coalition, Joy News, you've been doing this, you've done this past 2 years up until now, and you've brought us water from the various river bodies that you visited. We were told later that the water bodies are clearing up, amongst others, but you've been back there, Erastus. Let me find out, since we started this, in terms of collaboration, we've been told that security agencies are not able to get to these illegal miners, for which reason it's difficult in some cases to be able to deal with it. But you have been there with your team. You are not security agencies, but you've been there and you've uncovered it. Has anybody even reached out in the first place to find out how we can go about this? Let's find out from you. Has there been any form of collaboration?
There is no collaboration. The various government appointees do not even want to hear what we do. They don't mention it. They don't acknowledge it. They don't reach out to anybody. Even when we find things and we reach out to them so that we can team up and solve the problem, you get no response whatsoever from them. And there's just rhetoric, deliberate communication, fluff, to try to create the impression that government is committed, government is doing this, government is fighting, government is this, government is that. But when you go on the ground, it's a totally different feel. Things are worse. Things are getting worse. And when I say worse, you see, Mr. Marty is telling you something, but very soon we'll paint the right picture for you to see it. When you go to Dabuase and you see the kind of water they are pumping, and you see the turbidity values. He told you that turbidity is around 10,000 average.
Yes.
Do you know the normal stability for drinking water? The acceptable level is 5. So subtract 5 from 10,000. How much do you get?
You don't need to subtract.
Yes. So look at the difference. We're talking about 5 for normal, and you're talking about thousands. Now, the latest figures that are coming from the Water Resources Commission, the pollution levels for the Ankuta, we are running it to 4,000, 5,000. For Tamo, we are getting over 5,000. It's in the thousands.
Yeah.
And people are still on the river water bodies destroying them. When you go to the forest, when the president said the forests have been cordoned off, we have been there. At least we've gone to Tano Nimre. If you look at the number of people who are in the forest right now, decimating it, Apawasa, Ankwaso, Diaso, and Mewa in Seshupekwai, people are there as we speak, mining. You go to Apamba, it's almost gone. So when are we going to stop? And now we've secretly passed a law that allows mining in production and protected forests across Ghana. Who does that to their resources? And so there is a deliberate attempt to deplete the resources, and no taxes are being paid, nothing is being done, the environment is being destroyed. And here we have money coming from World Bank, and it's a loan that Ghanaians, 75% of it is a loan that we are going to pay for. So somebody goes into the forest reserve, destroys a large part of it, makes his gold, doesn't pay any tax to government for them to use to develop our country, and then Ghanaians pay for a loan to reclaim the land. That is the sort of practice we are going on in this country, and I think that it's high time that the people who say they love this country speak up. Where are the eminent people? Why are they looking on for us to commit this environmental suicide?
Well, in the clip that we played, for instance, I saw that you were interacting with a gentleman who talked about the fact that they've called in the military, they come and then the people return, amongst others, and it's becoming difficult and seeing the decimation that's going on in that area. Really, I'm sure you've been finding out more in terms of our security agencies and the work that they ought to do and why it is not being done. Really, what are the challenges that they highlight to you when it comes to this fight?
Well, so every opportunity, that's what I've realized on the ground, every opportunity that some security agencies get to go on the field and fight this canker, people are using it to make money.
Okay.
So there are certain mining sites they go, there are certain areas they don't go. And they don't go because it belongs to somebody who is big somewhere. At least, I have seen some positive sign from this current GOC. When we have talked about Apamprama for a very long time, nobody was stopping it. The Forestry Commission guards, some of them were protecting the miners inside the forest. And I have evidence to that effect.
Okay.
So, this current GOC sent a number of military personnel in there to go in there and stop it. At least for now. So if we are getting that kind of commitment, it's not that we don't know where they are mining. Go on your phone right now and use the Google satellite maps. And you see the devastation, and it's not like you're just seeing an old picture. It's current, it's there. When you zoom in and you go on the ground, you see it, the devastation. Like, people do not know where they are mining and who is mining where and all that. The lack of political will, the lack of will to go in there and stop whoever is doing it, that is our problem.
Okay. Well, Stanley, you mentioned that you've been going around with the minister, at least, and we've been finding out some of the areas that are coming up also and making it very difficult for your operation. Let's talk about public awareness and maybe education. What can you say when it comes to that? Because we worry because you are a state agency and at least you collaborate closely with the state. So if you as a state agency are encountering such, we are wondering what then is actually happening when it comes to this war. Is there any form of public awareness? Maybe we can say that people are really not aware about the devastating impact of this illegal mining activities. Has there been any work in that regard?
When it comes to women, I think even a year-old Ghanaian is aware that there's some obstruction of everybody's in this country, because for the past 15 years or so, I think we have been talking about illegal mining, especially me. Okay, I've always and every year been talking about how alluvial mining is affecting the GWCL. I've been doing this before everybody got involved, media coalition, government, and everybody, you know. So, and a lot of education has been going on. We have been supporting the Water Resources Commission in doing that. Now, the Water Resources Commission has basin offices almost dotted around the country and close to every river, and they do what they have to do. A lot of education. Even now, the PLC has also joined. So the GWCL is collaborating with PLC, collaborating with the Water Resources Commission to do a lot of education, throughout the country, you know. So there's been a lot going on when it comes to education. Even the media, I need to commend the media for the human's job when it comes to education on alluvial mining. So as for that one, a lot is being done, a lot is still being done. Even with some of our, for us, we've been always going around with our sector ministers to these communities, some of these communities to do these community engagement or have community engagements and all that. So awareness, I'm sure that everybody's aware, except that people are being selfish. People are just thinking about their pockets, and people are just thinking about their selfish interest and all that, and that is why we still see these things ongoing. You know, so that's when it comes to education. And then the next aspect of it is that education and then
public awareness.
Yes, so I think I've answered both education and public awareness together, because I think everybody, there's nowhere in this country that I haven't been to, and mostly because of alluvial mining and the destruction of our water bodies. I know everywhere in this country.
So what is your minister telling you in terms of helping to rid this menace of this country? Really, he knows the expensive nature of treating water. It's supposed to be 5, it's 10,000 and counting, like you're saying, really. So they take you round, check what is going on, and come back to Accra, and nothing happens?
I think at our level, the best we can do is education and public awareness, and that is what we are doing. Beyond that, we do not have the capacity. And if you look at the destruction that going on, I've not held a gun before. Okay? So who do you think can stop them? Because they are armed and we are not. Okay, sometimes they threaten our staff at the treatment plants. We've been to places like Odaso, where the villagers will have to just shut their mouths, because anytime there's a raid in that area, then it means the villagers who have reported, and then at midnight there'll be a raid, we'll beat them up, torture them and all that, and then that's it. So they are well armed, they are equipped to do whatever they want to do, and for us, what can we do? So we need to leave it in the arms of the military, and there should be a conscious effort. There should be a clear direction for the military to act. And I'm sure everybody is scared to talk about the ultimate. I'm also scared to say it. Which is the shoot to kill? Sorry?
Which is the shoot to kill, or which is the ultimate for you?
And apart from that, what else can stop them? Okay, what else can stop them? Even if you have to threaten them, let's threaten them, let's shoot around them, so they'll be scared and leave. But other than that, they won't leave. They won't leave. They won't leave.
But I'm particularly concerned also about the Volta River because it looks like from all the rivers that my colleague Erasmus Asaridonko has visited, at least is nothing to write home about. We've seen the colors. You can see them on your screen. This is thicker than the Milo or any cocoa drink that I've come across or I've taken before. But I've just seen the Volta River over the weekend, and I hear you talk about the fact that even that we are worried that there's some form of pollution. What are we doing right when it comes to protecting the Volta River that we can learn from and replicate in other areas, you'd say, even though there's some form of pollution at that level also?
Every nautical mile on the Volta Lake, you see aquatic farms. Okay, now they feed them with organic feeds and they are droplets. Mm-hmm. The droplets are enriching the alluvial soil and facilitating the speedy growth of aquatic weeds. The aquatic weed is changing the color of the water, it's changing the taste of the water. And then when we abstract, because there's some force in abstraction at our intake point, they choke up our pipelines. And as a result, we always will, almost every week, we may have to stop production for a day or two just to clear aquatic weeds. It affects our downtimes and it affects the quality of the water. Formerly, we were not even using alum in the treatment of water. So formerly, we're not even using alum, which is aluminum sulfate, in the treatment of water with our treatment plants on the Volta River. Mm-hmm. But now we've had to use alum because the taste is changing, the color is changing, and so it is also now becoming more expensive to treat.
Okay. Well, let me bring in Mr. Rashid Popo. Really, in wrapping up on this, I see that almost all the ministers, when it comes to the environment, they are all there. We have the Ministry of Environment, Water Resources. They are all in Parliament, from local government all the way to whoever is supposed to make this stop. They are in Parliament. And your Select Committee has that oversight to be able to put them in check. Going forward, really, if you say that the minority is as angry as you are amongst others, what really are the practical signs we are going to be seeing going forward? Because this is a war that with the public will not stop, putting pressure or piling pressure for it to end. Maybe you can give us some form of action that the minority side on that committee will be taking going forward, since you've seen and heard all that you need to know when it comes to this fight. Mr. Pelpo.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, as I said, we've done a number of things. We've visited these mining areas. We have observed what is happening. We have watched the Joy FM documentary on Good for Destruction. We have gone ahead to do a number of press releases and press conferences at all sides. We've had several meetings with key
So all that has not worked. All that has not worked. So going forward, really, these ministers, what are they telling you in terms of this fight? Are they committed to it? What exactly are they doing?
I don't think they are committed to it at all in any form that we can say they are comfortable with. We are looking out to do one more thing. We are working towards getting, eco-conscious citizens who will be willing to work along with us. We don't have to work it alone in Parliament. We need to go outside Parliament to get and mobilize people to work on it. We need to work with society, the larger society, groups of individuals and NGOs and other public organizations that are willing to walk the street with us. We think that much more have to be done, and that just issuing statements and talking to ministers and who are themselves complacent and who are themselves involved in it, won't solve the problem. So we will go beyond all that at a certain point, and very soon too, and now, because we can't wait until the whole environment is destroyed. If we listen to our pronouncements when the minister came out to talk about the Green Ghana, we just told him Green Ghana doesn't seem like it is a serious matter, because you are destroying the environment on the one side, and you are building it. We are trying to reverse the trends on one other side, and even to the point that my deputy ranking member described it all as corrupt, system. where money is just wasted in doing one thing that's being destroyed. So we believe that the people of Ghana is under stress, the land is under stress, the rivers are under stress. We need to do much more. So we will work along with the people themselves. And we are happy that consciousness is beginning to people are beginning to get conscious about what is going on and the levels of destruction going on. And the fact that government itself must be taken on, considerably beyond what we are doing it now.
Okay. Well, Awula, would you say, in wrapping up briefly, we're really out of time on this. We are not giving up, are we? Because listening to some of the things that I've heard, it's almost like it's not a fight that we can ever win.
But we'll win the fight when we become serious. As I said, we are not serious at the moment. What we need to do is to look at the press release that we sent out. Pause community mining. Stop it straight away. Okay. Do not pollute more waters than necessary. And as we said, the EI, the classifying parts of Achimota Forest, should be revoked. And please, the LI 2462 must also be rescinded. It does not make any sense if you are interested in the environment to allow mining in forest reserves. They are reserves for a purpose. And for even sake, arrest the directors of Akunta Mine. And I would say that what is going on is ecocide. And people are being born with deformities. We are poisoning ourselves with mercury. One day, those responsible will be charged with murder. They should take note. They will be charged with murder. You cannot poison the population and then be building a cathedral. This is just unacceptable.
Okay, well, Erastus, I'll give you the final word on this. And we're expecting more for destruction of gold. You have timelines that you give us, so we'll look out for it.
So we are working within a month. We are almost done. But from next week, we'll start rolling the true state of our forest and the forest under siege. We'll take them one by one, and we're going to show what the Green Ghana really means when it comes to the destruction of our forest. So keep tabs on all our platforms.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on tonight's edition of The Probe. I had Abdul Rashid Hassan Pelpo, is the War Central MP and ranking member on the Lands and Natural Resources Committee. I also had Stanley Mate, Director of Communications, Ghana Water Company Limited. Thank you so much. Erastus Saridonko, my colleague here. Awula Sewa, Coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens Ghana. Thank you so much for being a part of tonight's edition of The Probe. Hashtag No to Galamsey is still on. There's more when you log on to myjournline.com. Our radio audience, we have a walk with Jesus. We continue with Prime Take right here on the Joy News channel. Have a good evening. Thank you.